Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and we have talked about the self-driving cars a lot on this channel. You know what I feel about it. I think they're a lot of hot air. I don't think they're going to be nearly the reality people think they are for a very long time. And I also frankly think these things are dangerous as they work now. And apparently there's another company that's starting to have doubts about the self-driving future, and that is Uber. Seriously. Now, I want to state up front. If you look at this title and if you look at that opening statement, I have not stated anywhere they are for sure ending their self-driving program, nor do I claim to know what they're going to do with it. We are just going to talk about what the current climate is in the headquarters and what it could mean. This is completely speculation on my part. But that said, let's look at this article from the New York Times that is titled, Uber's Vision of Self-Driving Cars Begins to Blur. And it states, after Dara Khosrowshahi, I hope I pronounced that correctly, I'm taking a chance, took over as Uber's chief executive last August, he considered shutting the company's money-losing autonomous vehicle division. A visit to Pittsburgh this spring changed that. In town for a leadership summit, Mr. Khosrowshahi and other Uber executives were briefed on the state of the company's self-driving vehicle research, which is based in Pittsburgh. The group was impressed by the progress its autonomous division had made in testing driverless cars in Pittsburgh and in Arizona, according to three people familiar with the ride-hailing company who were not authorized to speak publicly. They left the meeting energized, convinced that Uber needed to forge ahead with self-driving cars. But days after the summit, one of Uber's autonomous cars struck and killed a woman who was pushing a bicycle across the street in Tempe, Arizona. Video from the March 18th collision showed a distracted safety driver failing to react in time as the vehicle barreled into the pedestrian Elaine Hertzberg. The accident threw Uber's autonomous vehicle efforts into flux, immediately forcing the suspension of its self-driving car tests in cities including Tempe, Pittsburgh, and Toronto. Months later, Uber's executives are divided over what to do with the autonomous business, according to people familiar with the company. While one camp is pushing Mr. Khosrowshahi to seek partnerships or even a potential sale of the unit, known as the Advanced Technologies Group, a rival contingent is arguing that developing self-driving technology is crucial to Uber's future, the people said. Mr. Khosrowshahi remains undecided, the people said, though he has expressed a desire to partner with other companies on autonomous technologies. In recent months, Uber has started talking with a few auto manufacturers about potential partnerships, including supplying Uber's autonomous driving technology for use in Toyota's minivans, according to one person familiar with the talks. Toyota, of course, declined to comment. Now, that's a nice little picture there. I mean, that's just... Uber's such a happy family to work for, I bet. The internet debates are unfolding at a time when many companies can ill afford to pause on autonomous technology given stiff competition from car makers and other tech companies. In recent months, top engineers have left Uber's self-driving project for lucrative opportunities elsewhere. Uber's self-driving cars recently returned to the road in Pittsburgh, but with human drivers at the wheel, meaning employees are driving around like any other motorist, except their vehicles are carrying hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology, which again doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I know someone pointed out, like, yeah, they're doing it to show that the brake technology probably works, but again, it's like, well, it's being driven like a car. Nobody cares. The issue of whether to retain or sell ATG is complicated by Uber's stated intention to go public by the end of 2019. The company, valued at $62 billion, has racked up billions of dollars in losses since it was founded in 2009 and needs to persuade investors that it can eventually create a sustainably profitable business. The self-driving efforts, which have been losing $100 to $200 million a quarter, do little to help that case. And Mr. Khosrowshahi has been shedding money losing businesses since he joined Uber. At a meeting in Pittsburgh on August 8th, according to a person briefed the event, Mr. Khosrowshahi did not address what he would do with the self-driving efforts, but told employees that there is, that it is a big hardware manufacturing software problem at scale. Lots of tech companies are out there going after this problem, but I think there are very few companies who are taking this on end to end at the scale the way we are. Oh, wow. There is so much wrong with that statement. In a statement, Uber said, right now, the entire team is focused on safety and responsibly returning to the road in autonomous mode. That's our number one objective, and we have every confidence in the work they are doing to get us there. So I think the rest of this is pretty much that's pretty much just the history. And I'm going to leave the whole article below so that you can read it. It's actually a pretty fascinating read, all things considering. Here, let's put Mr. Karashahi. If I pronounce this wrong, I'm going to get crucified in the comment section. Then I'm just going to go back to calling him Dark K. But here's the thing. This is not the first article I've read where Uber was considering shutting down the self-driving division or selling it off. I read it from other sources as well. I just picked this one because it's the New York Times, so hopefully no one will dispute that. But here's the thing. By all accounts, I'm going to put my thinking cap on just a little bit. Sorry, my hair is kind of bothering me. And I'm going to pretend that these things are going to work. It is true that in terms of the optimism of these cars actually getting on the road, by all accounts, Uber is the farthest behind than everyone, with Waymo apparently being the number one. Uber's cars did not work nearly as effectively as the other cars. And they are not progressing the way they should. And they're killing passengers on the road. And nobody wants to work with them. Here's the thing. You have an entire industry trying to sell people on the idea of the self-driving car. You cannot afford screw-ups. And Uber gave not only the first screw-up, they gave one of the most lethal ones. Their screw-up more or less went along the lines that proved these cars aren't safe. At least not yet. And the roommate is home. So sorry for the plumbing sounds. But that nobody wants to deal with them. And congressmen don't like them either. They felt duped. And Uber, they brazenly said, we're going to be back on the streets of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you didn't tell us about this. We're not sure we're going to grant you anything. And I guess they got their way around that was to basically just drive the cars in manual mode so they could say, hey, we've been driving the car in manual mode. We're safe. But Uber is in a very bad position when it comes to their self-driving cars. They're not ready. No one wants to trust them with it. And I don't think people are going to trust them for a long time. And on top of that, they lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, Dara has been lessening the losses, but they're still losing about 400 million or something every few months. If they got rid of this division, that would cut those losses in half, which is what the investors really want. So they want to go public by next year. They're still losing money. They don't have to reveal that they're losing all this money. They just do it because they want to be transparent. This is one of the few things they want to be transparent about for some reason. And cutting out the self-driving car division or selling it would probably get them closer to being profitable than ever before. But then some are arguing, well, but that's our future. If you sell it or if you get rid of it, we might never catch up. Which I believe Uber should have been focusing on making the business profitable now before they pin their hopes on something that may or may not have happened somewhere down the road. You know what I'm saying? There's no guarantee the self-driving cars will work on the scale they want them to. Even if they do, there's no guarantee it will be cheaper because they will own the cars. Uber has not been in a position where they have had to maintain their own vehicles. I think they are highly underestimating how much vehicles cost to maintain, especially ones that are on the road all the time. So I think there is some validity to this. I'm not saying for sure they're going to do it. I'm not even going to say it's smart if they do it. But someone is clearly looking at this division saying, this division got stuck. We can't go anywhere. We aren't developing the cars. They're not getting any better. The LiDAR people sure as heck don't like us now. The governments don't like us. They're not on the roads. We're way behind. And it's losing us $200 to $300 million a month. At some point, you're going to have and there's no hope. No hope of this changing anytime soon. Not anytime soon. They're probably going to have to wait at least a few years before anyone even considers giving them another chance. And it might even be like this Pittsburgh thing. Like, yeah, you can try them, but you have to have like 3 people in the car monitoring this thing. Because the other thing about the crash was that it wasn't just the car that crashed. It was the fact the person was watching Hulu. They weren't paying attention. And Uber said that they pride themselves in their screening process. Those liars, they don't screen anyone. And they didn't have the professionals behind the wheel with this car like they said they did. They had an ex-convict, which, again, I'm not saying ex-convicts don't deserve second chances. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they bragged about how they had experts, technicians in the vehicles monitoring it. And they had an ex-convict watching Hulu. There is no hope whatsoever of these cars getting back on the road in autonomous mode anytime soon. I'm going to say it. They might not be able to put these cars on the road in like 2 to 3 years. Their reputation is so battered from this. That's 2 or 3 years of losing $200 to $300 million every few months. That is so not worth it to them. That's not worth it to any potential investor. And if they want to go public next year, that can't be hanging over their head. So I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. Because they're Uber, they're probably going to keep it. That'd be my guess. They're going to keep going forward with this foolish notion until they bleed themselves dry and someone has to buy them out and basically show them how to run a taxi service, which is what they are, and they know it. But that's just speculation. We don't know what's going to happen. We just know that the events have led us to this point in time where they are seriously considering changing course. Who knows if they're going to do it? And that's where I leave it with you guys. Do you think they're going to change course or not? I would love to know. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.